Hello, my name is John Bannon. I'm an attorney and philosopher. In today's video, I'm going to explain superdeterminism and Deus est ipsum esse. Uh, Deus est ipsum esse is the idea that God is being itself, or the essence of God is existence. Uh, Under this, God has the highest degree of intelligence because God gives intelligibility to the universe. Now, the philosophy of superdeterminism doesn't disagree with this because the philosophy of superdeterminism says that God must know of and understand everything he creates in the block universe before he creates it. So that means God would have to be supremely intelligent in order to create the most advanced technologies in our block universe, as well as to give the universe this intelligibility. Um, so, both the philosophy of superdeterminism and previous philosophical teaching agree on this point that God must know of and understand the intelligibility of the universe in order to create it from nothing, or ex nihilo. The disagreement lies in how God goes about creating the universe, although um, both superdeterminism and the previous philosophical teaching agree that God is the gatekeeper of the creation of existence, or the essence of existence. The previous philosophical teaching claimed that God conserves or sustains the existence of physical reality at each moment. Otherwise, physical reality would vanish back into nothingness. However, this assumes that God is subject to time because there must be both a before and after each moment of conserving or sustaining physical existence. So there's this one to one correspondence between God's act of conservation and the continued existence of the physical reality, which in effect makes God subject to moving time. But this previous philosophical teaching is incoherent because God cannot be both the essence of moving time and subject to moving time. That's the incoherency. He can't be both. Either he's the essence of moving time, in which case he creates moving time and is not subject to moving time, or he's subject to moving time and he can't be that which creates moving time. He can't be the essence of time. So, this previous philosophical teaching has a clear flaw and incoherency in it. However, superdeterminism says that God atemporally created the whole static block universe in one simultaneous act. Um, so, God cannot be subject to moving time under superdeterminism because moving time is not a real thing. In a Hansonian superdeterministic block universe without cause and effect in physics, there is nothing that can cause anything to move in time. So moving time itself is not real. And because moving time is not real under superdeterminism, then God cannot be subject to moving time under superdeterminism. Therefore, there's no incoherency between God's creation of the static block universe and the existence of a hidden static dimension of time in the movie in the block universe because a static dimension of time is not moving time. It's a static dimension of time, but not a flow or ever coming moment of time. So, under Hansonian superdeterminism, the block universe has to be permanent, and consequently, it does not need to be conserved or sustained in time. And the reason for this is because there's no moving time under Hansonian superdeterminism, then there can't be a block universe that's subject to moving time. But if the block universe were uh, created and then subsequently conserved in time, then that would be two non simultaneous acts. And from that, you could measure a duration of time, which would subject the block universe to moving time, which is an impossibility because there is no moving time in the block universe. Consequently, the universe can be created, but it cannot be conserved or changed or annihilated, which means it's permanent. So, a timeless God that atemporally creates an atemporal block universe is a coherent view because it is a logical boundary between non existence and existence, as opposed to a temporal boundary that would require time for creation before the creation of time. So, atemporal creation of a static block universe by a timeless God does not cause any incoherency that would arise if you needed time before the creation of time in order to create time, because there is no moving time to even worry about creating to begin with. So, as between the philosophy of superdeterminism and the previous philosophical teaching, there's a clear preference for superdeterminism because it is coherent, whereas the previous teaching that God conserves or sustains the universe is incoherent. And moreover, superdeterminism also gives you an immortal block life in our universe. So all the moments of your life from beginning, from your birth to your death, continue to exist in the block universe and always exist. They're permanent, which means you're an immortal in the block universe. You don't get that under the previous philosophical teaching of the conservation or sustaining of the universe. In fact, you disappear once you die because your body is no longer conserved in existence, and therefore it no longer exists. So, the philosophy of superdeterminism definitely comports with the idea of Deus est ipsum esse. However, it simply gives a different means by which God creates the universe. And it's a coherent view, and the other one is not. And you're an immortal in the block universe under it. So this is clearly a much better philosophical view of um, the of God as the creator of the universe than the previous philosophical view. All right, I'll give you a second to read the report. All right, until next time, take care.